there, guys? What is going on? How you doing out there in YouTube /SoundCloud /McBlam Entertainment World? Welcome to the Realcast Podcast. Trailer Talk Tuesday. We talk about your trailers and upcoming movie projects on Tuesday. So I got my cohorts here. My co-host, what's going on, Hakeem?
I'm doing good.
All right, how you doing, Mr. Mojo Jojo?
Doing pretty well. How about yourself, sir?
I'm doing all right. We had a rough start getting going today. I fell asleep in my chair, so I didn't set my alarm to wake up on time. So like I'm behind with everything, and it took me forever to get prepared for the show. Like they were sitting here waiting, like any day now. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, guys, sorry. But yeah, we got it all situated and everything. Today's show is all about the future. So we're about to talk about the future of Marvel, future of Star Wars, and we'll quickly touch on, future of Marvel, future of DC, quickly touch on the future of Star Wars. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today. We're going to try to split up as much as we can into nice little segments, little compartments, so we put it out on there on YouTube. You got something, you don't have to watch the full version, but we would appreciate if you watch the full version up on our website. It's always up there. You can catch it at any time. And keep in mind that our website is going through renovations as well, so it still works. It still works. It's just not as pretty as we would like it to be, but we'll get it all nice and prettified and stuff like that. And Hakeem's seen some of it that
yes.
I've updated, and it's a slow going process. Honestly, I probably won't get it until like the end of the year, but you know, it is what it is at this point. So you guys ready to talk about some nerdy stuff, some awesome stuff?
Let's get to it.
Let's get all nerd-tastic.
But first and foremost, we also got to take care of some housekeeping. I didn't say house cleaning this time. I do need to do that. I got the vacuum sitting right over there, too. So I was in the process of it. But we got to take care of some housekeeping first. If you want, you can always follow us on the social media. Catch us on the social media at McBlam Entertainment on Facebook and Instagram, on Twitter at McBlamENT. You can follow me personally on Twitter at Mr. McBlam or on Instagram at Mikey McBlam. Hakeem, where can they find you?
Follow me on Twitter at CryKeem92, Cry with a K, Keem with a K and two E's, and Instagram at SUGGSH1.
And Mr. Mojo Jojo.
Find me on Instagram at MojoJojo, 2 O's, 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's right. Or you can find them right here on McBlam Entertainment, trying to bring a little bit of enjoyment to your day, every day. And now let's get this Tuesday, Trailer Talk Tuesday, underway. Okay.
Yeah,
look at that. We're all in sync right here. All right. So, first topic of the day. I'm just going to go ahead and say this. There was a wax figure put out for Captain Marvel. And I showed you, I sent you a text or whatever, but you just saw it today,
yes.
Right? And I'm just going to go ahead and say this. Look, pardon my language, but for the sake of Miss Brie Larson, y'all ain't shit. y'all just ain't shit. I mean, look. In all fairness, I'm going to go ahead and get the picture pulled up right here. In all fairness, that looks pretty damn good. That looks real. That looks like Captain. That looks like Brie Larson. But yeah, of all the facial, emotions that you went with, y'all just decided to go with none. It was like, just give her. Somebody had to be looking at this and saying like, all right, well, what facial expression should I give her? Give her the one from the movie. You sure?
Yeah. Find the one where she's smiling. There's no fouls. There's no fouls. She's smiling.
She's emotional in the movie, isn't she? I'll make it work.
Like the wax figure has that expression of like, why is this person hugging me? Like it's like I'm gonna just stand here and let them hug me. I'm not gonna say anything, and I'm not gonna touch them because I'm not catching a charge.
I will say this: it's accurate to the movie.
Yeah,
it's accurate to the movie. I got a picture of it somewhere, but yeah, it's accurate to the movie of how she actually looked throughout most of the movie, which is pretty freaking bored. Just like, yeah, I'm here, I guess. And it's messed up because in the actual wax figure, she's actually flying. So it's a little weird. I'm just like, she's just like, yeah, I'm flying, whatever. At least Tony was a little bit, snarky about it or whatever.
Yeah.
You're just like, yeah, I can fly. She's just like, I guess I'm flying.
Just the everyday 9 to 5.
Yeah, it is what it is. Well, I think what's messed up is like they could have given her any expression. Like they didn't even have to go with anything from the movie or whatever, because like she can smile. They could have gave her that. This particular image where it's a comic image that we're looking at right now, but they could have given her that. Could have given her any expression whatsoever. It was just funny that they went with none. They were just like, I don't know, like they could have used that for a stand-in for the movie. Like, I could just imagine how this would have went on set, and this could have been like, dang it, cut, Bree. I'm over here. Bree. So, and I know, like, I'm picking on her or whatever, and I'm picking on the movie. I'm always going to pick on the movies that they mess up something, and I would expect the same thing. I take as good as I get and everything, but at this point, I just feel like just own it. At this point, realize it's kind of like, all right, yeah, I kind of created a meme for myself out here for the internet. Just kind of own it at this point. Just go with it. Like those celebrities that read all their mean tweets and stuff like that. They read it and they laugh. And I'm not gonna lie. Like some of those insults are like extremely oddly creative. So we're just kind of like, all right, what took time to think of that? You don't know whether to be flattered that they took so much time on you or insulted. So you're like, you know what? I'll be both.
Yeah.
Thank you. You gave me something to think about. So yeah, I feel like at this point, just go with it. Just own it. If I did something like this, I would just, I would be upset with myself. Don't get me wrong, because like I would see this and be like, that looks so, like the way they made it look so lifelike. Like, that's awesome. And then I'd see the face of the person like, damn it. It's like, damn it, I screwed up. Yeah. I messed up. It's just like there's a picture of me. I'm gonna put it in post or whatever, but there's a picture of me on the Pitt website, Pitt Community College website, and I think they took that one down. They left the other one up, which I didn't tell them to take it down or anything.
Is that the one from the Christmas play?
Yeah, it's the one from the Christmas play, and I'm sitting there like, I look like Bill Cosby or whatever, and I'm just like. And I saw that, and I'm like, in one way, I was flattered. I was like, oh, you choose a picture of me. That's cool. Like everyone's going to see this picture. And at the same time, I was looking at my face. I'm like, damn it, I had to use that one. So, but I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. We all can. I'm self-aware enough to be, just to be cool with it. Realize I make stupid faces at times and stuff like that. Or Bree can be self-aware enough to like, hey, I can. I'm good enough. I'm cool with it. I make no expression. That's fine. Yeah. And she's just like gonna just start making a bunch of vines where you just don't have any expression to anything.
Right.
So that was just some foolishness we had to get into, whatever. But now let's move on. Let's move on to some good stuff. Let's talk about the future of Marvel. We got Endgame coming out. Endgame's coming out. In I think a couple weeks. Yeah, a week. Yeah, a week as we're recording this. So yeah, it snuck up on us, man. I know I've done my absolute best to stay away from marketing. I think you have as well. I know
as have I. I mean, I did go out and buy the Lego sets, but that's just because, people get crazy over Legos, and then if the movie's amazing, them Lego sets are going to get gone fast.
Yeah, or they're going to get extremely expensive.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, we got Endgame coming out. We're all excited for that. Like I said, stayed away from all the marketing just so that we can go in with no idea with what's going to really happen. Although they've kind of spoiled a little bit of that in their future marketing, especially with the Spider-Man. Was it Spider-Man?
Far From Home.
Far From Home.
Yeah.
This is kind of like, all right, well, I guess he comes back.
Yeah.
And then there's other people in the trailer. I was just like, oh, I guess they live as well. I forget, somebody was asking me, it was like, are you sure this takes place after Infinity War? I was like, pretty sure it does. It's like, pretty sure it does. But, it's all good. It's all good. But speaking of Far From Home, we've got plenty of Marvel comic stuff that's going to be coming out in the future. They're actually focusing a little bit more on their TV shows, I think, now than their movie, or at least trying to get their Disney Plus TV shows getting out there and stuff like that. They're actually said they're going to release a Loki TV series. Gotta be honest, I'm not all that excited for that. But
to me, like, from like like you said, I don't know why.
yeah,
Because I mean, we already know, like, from the directors have already confirmed, like, when Thanos snapped that neck, like, there's no coming back from that.
Right.
So it's just like, okay, maybe we get to see part of Loki's past, but I mean, they've already covered that, well enough in the, the Thor movie. So it's just like, what really do we have that we would be interested in a show about Loki?
thank you.
Like if anything, they covered the majority of Loki through the Thor movies. So
Yeah. And like you think about it, like Loki has been so prominent in those movies, and even in the Avengers, he was prominent. So it's kind of like, do we really need this? And he says if he's really dead after the events of Infinity War, obviously you can't continue that. So you're going to have to be in prequel mode, and then it's like, but you already told us everything we need to know about him.
Yeah, like
so.
he comes from the Frost Giants. Like he worked for Thanos for a little bit. Kind of, I guess, didn't do what exactly what Thanos said, and then it's like, oh, you're gonna try to come at me with a cheap shot. No.
Yeah, exactly. So can't say I'm excited for Loki at all, but we got some other stuff that's coming out. Like I said, we got Spider-Man: Far From Home. I saw the trailer; it looks pretty cool or whatever. I can't help but look at this picture though and thinking like this looks like an episode of Full House or something. It looks like an ABC sitcom, and I hope it's not that same tone, but. But yeah, it looks like that. But we got some other stuff. We got a Scarlet Witch series that's going to be released. So that should prove to be interesting. Like I said, I don't know what they're going to do with her either. But and we've got some movies coming out. Like I said, we got Black Panther 2, which is going to come out, and there have been rumors that they may be a crossover with Thor. There have been rumors about like whether this is going to be a crossover. They're finally going to start introducing some X-Men, and of course Aurora Monroe was one of the ones that they were talking about possibly being in. These are rumors, of course. Now, I think the fact is that they're not going to do anything with the X-Men for 5 years after this particular the Dark Phoenix comes out. So I think that's the actual what Kevin Feige said. He's like, we have them, but we're not going to do anything with them for quite a while.
Gotcha.
But could they introduce Black Widow? Could they introduce Storm in this? I don't see why they couldn't.
I mean, they're right there in Africa, so I don't see why not.
Exactly.
If you go back to the comics, Storm and T'Challa, have that intimate relationship. So I mean, I don't see why they couldn't start off with that, something small.
Yeah,
like at least give her a cameo or something.
Exactly. So I mean, it'll be a nice little head nod. I mean, you've already used the Skrulls. The Skrulls are owned by Fox, and all that stuff went through before the deal was officially solidified and everything. So I'm just like, well. You might as well at this point, just at least start building that world. So when you actually do release an X-Men movie, you can be like, okay, here it is. Here is everything right now.
Right.
So, just little cameos here and there. I know you're super excited for Black Panther.
Oh, yeah. No, I am.
So, and we're finally, after I don't know how many years or how many years we want to call it, we're finally getting a Black Widow movie. And
honestly, my opinion on this, it's like the Red Sparrow movie.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna feel. It's just Red Sparrow with Marvel stamped on it.
Yeah. And at this point, I was just kind of like, I would have loved to see this. Ever since I first saw her in Iron Man 2, and they were talking about a standalone movie with her and everything, I was like, oh, I would really like to see this. They were hinting at her past and Agent Carter. I'm like, yes, do this. And now I'm just kind of like, all right, Phase 2 goes by. I'm like, okay, they're not going to do it. Phase 3's going by, and I'm just like, all right, I guess they're not going to do it. And they're like, Phase 4, hey, we're finally going to do it. And I'm just like, Yay.
Yeah.
So it's almost like it's kind of too little, too late in that regard. I'm just kind of like, okay, whatever. So I'm going to ask you guys of everything that's coming out. I think you've already given your answer, but of everything that's coming out, what are you actually most excited for in terms of all the Marvel MCU stuff that's coming out? Phase 4 and beyond, obviously, because they're going to go beyond Phase 4.
The Eternals.
Okay. Why the Eternals?
We finally get to see, hopefully, maybe bring in Galactus. Maybe finally get to see, I know they've been having talks of Adam Warlock when they want to bring him in. I know there was maybe talks of an appearance in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Mm-hmm. We've already seen him in his little cocoon, even though I don't think they confirmed it. But, I mean, it was a given if you've read the comics. Sure. That's what I'm excited for. I'm trying not to laugh over here because he's going to Wakanda forever. And I see him out the corner of my eye on the screen. I'm just like, but yeah, go ahead. So. Get to see more, I guess, of the Celestials.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'd definitely go with that. And Black Panther, right? Black Panther 2. What would you like to see in Black Panther 2?
I mean, like in the first one, it was like they could do anything with it because they're contained in their like own little world or universe, so they can pretty much do anything with it. So with this one, it's like whatever they bring is going to be it's going to be mind blowing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, I would. The only thing I would say, I would hope that the rumor. I don't know how you feel about this, but I would hope that the rumor that they want to do a crossover with Thor is not true, because I feel like part of what made Black Panther as good as it was, is just the fact that it could be its own movie in its own little world and not have to worry about a lot of the outside influences,
right.
MCU.
Yeah, that whole movie, it really did not need any other character in the Marvel Universe at all.
Exactly. I mean, you had the cameo of Winter Soldier at the end.
Yeah.
But, that at the end of the day, it was like, well, that was an after credit scene anyway. So technically, the movie's already over.
Because I mean, at that point, if I'm not mistaken, the Winter Soldier and Steve Rogers were still wanted.
Yeah.
So in Wakanda at that point, nobody goes into Wakanda.
Exactly.
Except for the native people. So. And then, of course, him kind of giving them a refuge. Mm-hmm. So it kind of made sense to have them at the end because it's just nobody can find them. Where are they? And why not put them in a spot that nobody goes?
Okay.
Yeah, I can see something happening with some kind of crossover or, another character may having to step in as if, some of the researchers or scientists in Wakanda is, discovering something out of universe or whatever. And it makes contact and it's not too friendly or whatever, so somebody has to step in to help or something that way. But
I can see that. I would like to, like I said, I know and like I said, one of the great things about Black Panther was that it was so self-contained. But I would legitimately like to see what happened, after Black Panther, because it left off at a certain point. There's okay, we're gonna do this now. We're actually going to be more open to the world. I want to see the both the good and the bad of that, because there's going to be good and bad that comes with that. Because it's just all right, we've opened ourselves up to the world now, and we're able to help these people. But now we're also exposed to the negative side of opening up to this.
Because, the vibranium's out there more. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have more of your, evil scientists throughout, Marvel stories. So maybe we might finally get to see MODOK, and all that. So, because I like to see that.
Okay.
The floating head scientist in the track.
They already kind of did something like that with Ninja Turtles, but if they wanted to, I don't know. It depends on how. It depends. I mean, I'm not putting it outside the realm of the MCU because they can definitely go silly, and many times even when they shouldn't. But I mean, I would like to see just the overall repercussions of what's going to happen now that we've introduced this we've opened ourselves up to the world and everything. So it's kind of like, it's just like when you open your heart up to somebody. It's like, okay, there's going to be good, there's going to be bad that goes with that and everything. So I'm interested to see where that actually goes. And as far as the Celestials, I would like to see that, but I would almost like to see it pre-Infinity War, like pre-Avengers actually. I would almost like to see it then, because then you get to see everyone kind of grow, and you get you get a little bit more Thanos, but you get some other characters,
and that would make sense, because then you get to actually see how the stones were developed. Mm-hmm. So if they went that route, that would be a great story.
Yeah. So I mean, just opening up the universe even more, and expanding even more, stuff like that. So it's funny because not just a few months ago, I feel like we were talking about like, well, time for the MC to pack it up. That's done. We're done. So now we're sitting here talking about like, I want to see some more stuff now.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know, like, part of me was slightly concerned when they bought Fox, and I'm just like, oh man. And then Hakeem brought to my attention that, hey, they said, we're going to start doing some rated R movies. I'm like, no, y'all ain't. And it's like, y'all at Disney. No, y'all not. And then I started reading up on it and everything. And it was just like, well, if we do it, we're going to do it through the Fox division. We're not going to do it through Disney because, we have a name to uphold and everything like that. So they'll do it through Fox. And I was like, that's actually not a bad idea. So that means that you do have the ability to tell more adult stories and everything like that. And you can have more adult situations and everything, which also kind of stands that they could continue, if they wanted to, they could continue the Netflix series that were canceled, because those were definitely a lot darker than anything we'll ever see from Disney and the MCU. So it's kind of like, you could do something and just leave it to your other divisions to actually carry out that and everything. And just like, okay, yeah, we're still over all this and everything, but when we think of it, it's like, this is Fox. So if it bombs or something, it's their fault. If you don't like it, it's their fault. So yeah, I'm definitely I like those ideas, and that's something I would actually really like to see. Surprisingly, I don't have one that I'm necessarily excited for, but I would just say, like, for once, and it's been a long time coming, but for once I'm genuinely excited for the universe to continue. I know they're slowing down a bit, and I say they're focusing some more on their Disney Plus, trying to build that and everything, but I'm actually excited for the universe to continue, and I'm glad they're actually backing off a little bit. They're just like, all right, we've flooded you with content, let's actually backpedal a little bit, because if you backpedal and you're able to put out more quality content. Not every movie feels like it's the same movie, and you can focus more on storytelling. You got the characters now, so you can focus more on storytelling. So with that being said, what are some storylines that we would like to see in the MCU? What would we like to come see? I'm going to start with you, Mr. Mojo Jojo. What is a storyline currently in the Marvel Comics that has not been released by the MCU?
I would like to see Avengers versus X-Men.
Okay.
Civil War this and Civil War were some of my favorite comics reading, and they upset me with Civil War. So I would like to, and I know Marvel, they were like, we're buying Fox, so now we can bring in X-Men and Fantastic Four. So I'm sitting there thinking, as soon as I heard that, I was just like, Avengers versus X-Men.
Okay. All right. And what? How did that start anyway? Because I know I haven't actually read, because the Avengers vs. X-Men is actually a newer incantation, and the one that I read before that was actually Ultimate X-Men versus the Ultimates, and that was in the Ultimate series or whatever. But and it was I forget what the comic was named. I think it was named War or something like that.
I think.
Yeah, and they were actually after Professor X, because Professor X had harbored a criminal, which was Magneto. So the Avengers were sent in to try to to retrieve Professor X. But they were fully aware, like, yeah, these people aren't just going to let us take it.
Yeah.
So it was an all-out fight, and for the most part, the Ultimates came away with the victor in that regard. But it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. And there's some cool imagery in there. Actually, I'll probably put some in post. But there was some cool imagery
this one, like that we have up here, like Cyclops, like shooting a beam at Captain America's shield. Like, that's just like, when I think of this story, like, that's the first thing I see that comes to mind. Or having like Wolverine like rake his claws over the shield. Like, that's what makes me think of that.
Okay. So he actually had to give his shield back though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know Iron Man still probably has it somewhere, and we'll probably see that in Endgame, which will probably be a cool moment in Endgame when he hands, Captain America the shield back. So just like, just kind of like, hey man, we had a falling out. We cool though. We cool. We're that all that's done. We're squashed now. So. Yeah, that's a cool thing. I would like to see that. I know they could probably do it well, and the only thing is, and like you said, with Civil War, Captain America Civil War, I stand by this all the time, did not need to be called Civil War. You didn't need half of the characters in there that were in there or anything. Like, this probably was just a good movie with Captain America, Iron Man, maybe Rhodey and Falcon, and then you have them, and then the story is actually centered around Bucky, and I'm like, all right, that's enough for this whole movie to take place, and you still have that emotional fight at the end and everything, because that was probably the best fight in the movie. Look, airport fight was fun, but it made no damn sense. Sorry.
Yeah.
But it was like the best fight in the movie was at the end when you had Iron Man and Bucky and Captain America fighting. So, because that was the most emotionally driven one.
Yeah.
It all built to that.
Because you see the moment of, like, is Cap going to kill Tony? Or, like, what's he going to do? And then it's just like he sends a shield through the arc reactor, and it's just like, oh my gosh, like, is he going to make it? Like,
to be honest, I was more concerned about Tony killing Cap. And that was actually my fear towards, like, I was like, are they going to... Because, Captain America technically dies at the end of the Civil War arc in the comics. I was like, is he... I didn't think he would purposefully do it, but the crime of passion type thing.
Yeah.
It's just like, he's just so trying to get to Bucky that he accidentally just goes overboard and kills Cap. And I was like, oh no, is he going to do that? That's why I was more worried about that. But at the same time, I was just like, this is it. This is what the fight was. This is what this movie was building to. This is what it should have been, And then you have more time to dedicate to your villain, who I felt was a good villain. They just didn't give him any time. But that was Zemo. You had more time to dedicate to that. So I feel like with this movie, if they were going to do X-Men versus Avengers, you got to build to that. And you got, like I said, they're going to do anything with the X-Men for like 5 years. You got 5 years. Now, So I would definitely, I definitely would be excited for that if they do it right. If they do it wrong, then I'm just gonna like, all right, just Infinity War was good, But all right, what about you, Hakeem? What comic storyline would you like to see come to the MCU?
I would like to see a Silver Surfer one.
Okay.
I'd like to see a Silver Surfer one. Other than Cap and Wolverine, he was in my top list of favorite Marvel characters. Okay. He's like pretty much like super OP. So it's like what is this storyline? Because like I think when he was in the Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer, I'm trying to remember. Did he get his powers from Galactus, or was he just working for him or something like that?
Well, I know.
I can't remember.
If I'm not mistaken, like he was like a slave to Galactus, and it just got to a point where he just had enough and was just like, "All right, Galactus, it's time to go head on."
Well, and this is the thing that kind of that irritates me about the second Fantastic Four movie. Was that Silver Surfer could have taken him out all along.
Yeah.
You know, he could have taken him out when he took over, when he was destroying his world and everything. I'm like, well, you know, I mean, Galactus gave him the board and everything. I'm like, okay, fine. That's how he gets more power. He goes to the Earth. He goes to different worlds, prepares them for Galactus to eat and everything. But then you find out at the end of the movie, it's like, oh, all you had to do was go charging into him and, you know, give him like the super energy blast thing. I'm just like, you could have done that this whole time. And you know, it's not until like Sue dies. Then I'm just like, all right, you could have done that this whole time. This movie could not have happened if you'd have just done this from the get-go. And you lived, because you know, you see him floating in space at the end and everything. He opens his eyes or whatever. But it's like, you lived, really? So that was like one of like, it ends with a huge plot hole there, and I'm just like, all right, this movie was already bad enough. So, but yeah, Hakeem's all about giving second chances.
Yeah, I'm very hopeful for these guys. I'm very hopeful.
Okay, yeah, and I'm not a big Fantastic Four fan. Like, I've said this numerous times. Like, they're not my favorite. And it's funny, after Civil War actually made me dislike them in the comics anyway. I think Road to Civil War and Planet Hulk, that made me dislike them like altogether. I'm just like,
yeah,
okay,
at least Reed Richards.
yeah, especially him. Yeah, so I was just kind of like, all right, but I can't lie and say I wouldn't be interested enough to see what the MCU would do with it. I don't know that I'd go see the movie. I mean, if it was like, if y'all asked me, it's just like, hey, want to go see Fantastic Four? I'm like, yeah, why not? You know, but I don't think I would go of my own volition. I'd just be like, man, I'm just not that. You know, it's kind of like with Hellboy. Hellboy just came out recently, whatever, and not the biggest fan of Hellboy. I like the first movie from the original with Ron Perlman.
Yeah,
I like that one, and if I saw that in the theaters, I would not have been disappointed. But you know, this new one, I was just kind of like, I'm just really not that all interested at all. So
yeah, and it came like at a bad time too.
Yeah,
because you have all these other movies that are trying to come out and develop, and it's just like, okay, here's a random Hellboy, you know, reboot.
Yeah. So yeah, like you said, the timing of it is just nah. It just, and for Fantastic Four, it's just, like I said, for me, it's just like, I'm just not that interested in it or whatever. I mean, heck, I wasn't that interested in Daredevil until like literally everybody was telling me to go to watch the Netflix series. And ironically enough, when I got Netflix, it wasn't to watch that, it was to watch Flash. And then I was just like, oh, Daredevil's here, let me go check it out. And I'm just like, holy crap, this is my favorite thing right now. So it's, I have confidence that the MCU can do it and pull these characters off, you know, especially Silver Surfer. And then, you know, that goes back, you know, with the Celestials and stuff like that. And like, maybe you could tie him in somehow or something like that. So because he has godlike power, so that'll be interesting and everything to deal with. So I'm like, okay, I would like to see that. I'm not going to say I would just full on go see it, but I would like to. I think that would actually be pretty cool. I have confidence that they could do it. My pick is actually going to be. And I don't know if they'll ever do it, to be perfectly honest, but I would love to see it. But my pick is actually The Secret War. Not Secret Wars, not to be confused with the one without the S on the end. But yeah, that would be my pick to see that. And this would be more of a political type movie because you're dealing with boundaries and stuff like that. And it kind of goes into that question, what should we do? You know, what can we tell these? Because, you know, we got Sokovia Accords now.
Yep.
So, and we know that the heroes technically cannot act without the permission of, I think, from the UN.
Yeah, United Nations.
Yeah. So, what if, you know, where does that boundary lie? And this is the thing, like, that Captain America was kind of hinting on. He was just kind of like, you know, what if they send us into a situation that we're not supposed to be there, or we shouldn't be there? And that is adapting this would deal with that. You know, just saying like, okay, go in. We need you to go in and do this, and they go in and do something that's really unethical and everything, and then they have to deal with the backlash of it. So I would love to see that, and it's just because it's definitely a more serious tone, definitely a more serious movie to deal with. Like I said, I don't know that. I had no confidence that Disney would do it. I was like, y'all wouldn't go that serious. Y'all wouldn't go that political. But now that they own Fox, and they're just like, well, we can give our serious movies to Fox, and I'm just like, maybe, maybe.
And I mean, and if they did that movie, they could also, bring in the Fantastic Four as well.
True.
Seeing that Doctor Doom's the guy in that series, so
yeah, I mean, they could definitely exactly because like we know Doctor Doom. You'd have to establish Doctor Doom and stuff like that, but like we know that Doctor Doom is he's Lord over of Latveria and everything, but we also know that his people are loyal to him. So it's kind of like the dark side thing. It's like when you go to Apocalypse and you have you have the tyrannical dark side that rules over these people, but they're still loyal to him. Like they still treat him like that he is God or whatever. So but obviously, like we look at this and it's like, no, this is wrong. This is not right. You should treat people this way. But for what like I said, for whatever reason, they've grown accustomed to it. Maybe it's an abundance of Stockholm syndrome or whatever. But you can do that. You can play with that. Like I said, you can. It would tackle that. Okay, where do the boundaries lie? Like do we know that Doctor Doom is a tyrannical overlord and he is dangerous, but he is in his own country. He is he rules over this. He has the diplomatic rights to rule this country however he wants to rule it and everything. But we know he's dangerous. What do we do? Do we, like I said, this is the whole thing Captain America was saying this in Winter Soldier. He was like, I thought the punishment came before the crime or after the crime or whatever. But if he hasn't done anything, but we know he's going to, or we have just the inkling of
like that hunch.
Yeah, I was like, we think he's going to do something, or he's planning to do something. Do we go in and shut him down, or do we just let it happen and deal with the repercussions after?
You're under arrest for probable cause. That's
or something. But that's the thing. You can't arrest him. He has diplomatic immunity according to our our laws and everything. Like he would have diplomatic immunity. We can't do anything to him until he's done something to us and everything. So we can't just go over there and do something like that. I mean, that's why a lot of people were pissed about. Now I might be getting my history wrong on this, but I think that's why a lot of people were pissed about us going into Iraq. It was just like, well, we went into Afghanistan because that was where the attack was thought to be originated or whatever. And then I think, like I said, I might be getting my history wrong, but then we had like, oh, Iraq has weapons of mass destruction. Let's go in there and whatever. And I think that's kind of how it happened.
Yeah, and then you got into the whole like Saddam Hussein committing crimes and it's just like, yeah.
Yeah, so, and it was like, people were upset about that because it was just like, well, no, that's not why this whole thing started. It started because of the attacks on, the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, etc. It started because of those attacks, and we went over there and did this because of the attack, but now we're doing all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, it's questions. It's questions you got to ask. It's like, well, do we do something about it or do we not? So that's just the thing. Like I would like to, if they're going to introduce it, they're going to talk about it. Like I said, they're going to introduce it, talk about it in Civil War. Then let's see it. Let's see what the actual repercussions and stuff actually, And they may not. And this may be something that happens on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They may not even do a movie about it or whatever. But I could see something like this happening, especially now that S.H.I.E.L.D. is more in the public eye. They're getting more government praise and stuff like that now. So I could see something like it happening. They may not do it like in a movie, but I would still like to see it happen. I would like to see, all right, what are the actual repercussions of these Sokovia Accords that we made so important that we've done nothing with so far? so like let's see what actually happens from this. So that would definitely be one of my favorites. So to picks. And I think that's going to actually do it for this section, unless you guys got something else.
Nothing good.
Nope.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and then we'll be back and talk about some good old-fashioned DC stuff. DC Future, and we'll be back right after this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we are back, and we're here to talk about some DC. As you can see right now, we got the logo back there. We are avid supporters of DC movies and Marvel movies. Come at us, you know. You know, like we can love both of these things, but there's a lot going on with DC right now, especially one particular movie that has come out, that's going to be coming out here shortly. I believe this summer. I guess we'll find out at the end of the trailer, but I believe it's going to be coming out this summer. It's called The Joker. And remember how, like, everyone's been saying, like, oh, DC's too dark, DC needs to lighten up, or whatever. Warner Brothers just released this trailer and said, kiss my ass. And they said, all right, but we're going to do it right this time. We're going to give you that uncomfortable darkness that has everything to do with the Joker. So it's only a teaser trailer, not a full 100% trailer, because we have to, like, they have to expand their content over time, I guess. So hopefully they don't release one that spoils the whole movie like most trailers have been doing. But let's go ahead and look at the trailer, because Joe, you're the only one that haven't seen it, right?
Yes, I have not.
Right. So let's go ahead and look at the trailer, and then we'll be back and we'll give our brief thoughts on it.
Arthur, does it help to have someone to talk to?
Just smile.
That was The Joker. What do you think?
I think I'm gonna enjoy that movie.
It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Itself, it's kind of like, okay. But yeah, I'm glad. I'll put it this way. I'm glad that Warner Brothers is, they're I think, at least from what this trailer looks like, is that they're seemingly starting to, one, understand the characters a little bit better, but also, you know, they're not listening to their naysayers, because everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people have just said, like, oh, the DC movies are too dark. They you know, they're too serious. They need to be more like Marvel. You know, have fun and stuff like that. I'm like, but that's just the thing. You don't always have to be that way. You know,
Right.
We can have fun. We have movies like Shazam where we can have fun. You know, or Aquaman that can just be epic and like I said, bombastic and stuff. And I'm like, all right, we can have those movies, but we can also have movies like The Dark Knight. We can also have movies. A Marvel movie, we can have movies like Logan, where it's just like, yep, this is pretty rough to watch, you know, but you also feel the emotion. You feel like there's adult themes intertwined in it and everything. And so let me ask you this. Let me ask you guys this. How do you feel about the Joker, who, like, I mean, y'all kind of know, like, the origin that was usually the Joker was just like, all right, well, there's guy fell into a vat of chemicals or whatever, and he was already kind of off his rocker to begin with, but he just kind of went crazy after that and everything. So,
I do like the whole what it looks like aspect of him going to comedy clubs.
mm-hmm.
Because in the origin story, one of the origin stories we got, Laughing Joke.
Killing Joke.
Or Killing Joke, yeah. Thank you. That he was a failed comedian.
Mm-hmm.
And so to see that aspect that, you know, maybe he's also a failed comedian or performer, you know, I like to see that.
Okay.
You know, at least they continued with that.
Okay.
And that's what I kind of got a feel for when I watched this teaser trailer, that they pull some of the stuff from The Killing Joke.
Yes.
And that may have, you change a little bit of, the things, his mom is here. He's taking care of her. She may have like some type of illness, and Gotham is, a crazy world, and he's not, really, equipped to handle it all. And Gotham drove him to be, what he is now.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, because it kind of like, it's one of those things like, and here's what I will say, like, this is kind of in line with movies like with Man of Steel, because now it didn't do it like to the extent that this movie is probably going to do it, but it holds a mirror up on society, and it just kind of like looks at it like, yeah, you're as much responsible as this person is, and just kind of showing us like, like that it's not, I like to believe in people as much as possible, like there are some things on there that I always on the internet, I always shake my head at and stuff like that, but, I see a lot of things, even though I don't talk about them, I see a lot of stuff out there, and I'm like, you can't always, it's hard to talk about this, but it's like you can't always put full blame on the person and say like, it's easy to label somebody as a monster or whatever. It's easy to just like, oh, he's completely pure evil. But very few times do you get somebody ask the question like, well, how did he get like that?
Right.
And that was one of the things that, if going back to Man of Steel, that I liked about it, because it was like, all right, he's not the beacon of hope or anything, like he's not yet anyway. He's dealt with trauma in his life. He's not happy with himself or whatever, and he's down, he's beaten down and everything. And it was one of those things like, all right, well, how did he get like that? You see stuff that happened in his childhood. You see stuff like people telling him like, no, don't do this, don't do that, like, oh, you can't do this around people will fear you, they'll reject you, they'll be afraid of you and everything. And
it's just like the world's just not ready.
Yes, exactly. That was the whole point, and it was just like him trying to find himself and him going from place to place and realizing like, if once he does something, I was like, oh, I can't be here because, I'm liable to get hurt. Even though they can't hurt me physically, they'll hurt me in some other way. And I'm like, no, I can't deal with this. But it does hold a mirror up and say like, hey, look, how can this being live among us and, just going about his business. That's all he was doing, right? He was just going about his business. How can he live among us and we be so cruel and harsh to him and expect him to just be like, well, that's just people. So I'm like, and I think that's, now, like I said, Man of Steel didn't do it to like the degree that this movie is probably going to do it, like, because, he's not out there laser beaming people,
right,
and stuff like that. But, this Joker definitely, like, you can see that people are cruel, man. People are just cruel, like, Joker. I keep calling him Joker. I don't know if his name is Jack in this movie or whatever, but I'm just like, he's not doing anything. There's a point where he's just doing his job. He's
trying to provide for his mom, and you got some punk kids that are just trying to pick on like a helpless person.
Exactly. Like he's just out there just trying to make a living for himself, and these people attack him. He wasn't doing anything wrong. I mean, but that's just the nature of it. That's the nature of people. Not all people are like that. Now, granted, we know that, it's harsh. It's cruel. And I feel like this movie is just definitely going to hold a mirror up to society and say like, hey man, it ain't all peaches and sunshine out there. It's not always fun. Life isn't always fun. There's downtrodden. Now, granted, he's, like I say, he's got some quirks about him. He's not what society would deem normal in that regard. But you can tell like he's a little off. He's eccentric. Yeah. He's a little off. So like it's just, I can see where like this is going, and like, okay, we're kind of pushing him off over an edge here. And once he's been pushed over that edge, like they haven't shown what he's done yet, but once he's been pushed over that edge, it's kind of like, okay, well, he might do some really gruesome stuff, and because I know some people might be like, oh, you're gonna make him a sentimental character, we don't want to see this, we want to be afraid of the Joker and everything, and I'm like, well, done right, because the first thing that comes to mind is Michael Myers.
Yeah.
From the Rob Zombie Halloween movies. Have you seen the Rob Zombie Halloween movies? And that was actually one of my bigger complaints, was like, I'm no longer afraid of Michael because, well, I see the tragedy that he went through. Granted, like I said, those movies aren't good, but still, like, I see the tragedy that he went through, and I'm just like, well, it's kind of like, all right, well, I mean, it's kind of hard to not go crazy when you live with a family like that for so many years. So I'm just kind of like, all right. I mean, if he would have been a normal human being, I would have thought something was wrong with him. So, but it's just one of those things. Like, you can do it though. You can still make this person scary and make him at the same time, delve into the tragedy of his life and everything. Because, like I said, he might not be all there, he might be already doing some things that are questionable or whatever. But I'm more interested to see this movie than probably most people are. I don't know. Like, are you interested in seeing this at all?
Yeah.
Okay. You just said
yes.
Yeah, but I mean, you said it from the last time, or one of the last times we got together, that that you thought that what's the actor's name? I can't remember his name right now. I'm blanking. I keep wanting to say Johnny Cash, but that's not his name.
Jared Leto?
Was that?
Jared Leto?
No, Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah. I keep wanting to say Johnny Cash because that's the last movie I saw him. But yeah, like you were already saying, like from the get go, like I think he can do a really good job with this and everything, and he's obviously physically transformed for it because you just see how skinny he is and everything. And ironically, it reminds me of Christian Bale when he did The Machinist.
Yeah, then he did The Fighter.
Yes.
I mean, from what I heard, like when he did The Fighter, like it almost literally like hospitalized him.
That wouldn't surprise me. that wouldn't surprise me at all. So, but yeah, I mean, this looks interesting. I'll say that much. And it looks like it's going to be a more of a self-contained story. I don't know that Batman is already existing or anything. They may go. I don't know.
And I know that we caught the glimpse. The TV reporter, and he was saying something about a masked being, and it's just like how can they do this? And then so it might be Batman, but at the same time you got the scene of him throwing a mask in the trash can. So who knows if he's already starting to commit crimes.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean it'll be interesting to see what they actually do with this character, because we've had a lot of iterations of this character so far, and excuse me, but he's one of the, look, I can't knock him for it. He's one of DC's greatest villains. If not, he's one of the comics' greatest villains of all time and everything. Like when you think Batman and Joker are synonymous, just like it's Superman and Lex Luthor, synonymous. It's like you think of that and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see. But I put a poll out on Facebook, and I asked the fans and everything. I was like, hey, what do you guys really think? Like, do you, we got all these iterations of the Joker that have come out so far, and as none of them have been, I don't know, have we had a terrible Joker? Because I wouldn't even say Jared Leto was a bad Joker because he wasn't there enough to be bad. So I don't know. Have we had a really terrible version of that? I mean, they've all been different. I can say that much. They've all been different.
I was gonna say, I think that's why you can't really label it as who's a good Joker and who's a bad Joker, because each character was even though it was the same character, the Joker, they were all played in a different aspect that you're seeing. Like Cesar Romero, he was played as like an actual like clown type,
right,
and it fit with the old 60s Batman because it was goofy and it was funny. Heath Ledger, he was psychotic, a mystery, and it was dark because the Dark Night series was dark.
Right. Exactly.
So-
And we've had, like I said, we've had so many. Like I said,
Yeah.
you said we've had Cesar Barbero, we've had Heath Ledger, Jared Leto, Jack Nicholson. Most famously, obviously, is going to be Mark Hamill for the animated series and everything. And a lot of people will say that's definitely their favorite. Is the Mark Hamill, because he was able to embrace a lot of the comic side
Yeah.
as well as the dark side. Oops, excuse me, I've got to turn notifications off. But yeah, he was able to embrace kind of both sides. So he embraced that over the top comedy side, but at the same time, he could be really dark and really scary at certain times. Especially, I would say like the perfect representation of that was probably Return of the Joker in Batman Beyond. Return of the Joker, the movie. Yeah, I would say that's probably one of the perfect representations of it from the animated series, anyway. But yeah, like that was. There's been so many iterations of him, and I put a question out there. I was like, are you guys tired of the Joker, or do you want to see new villains, or you just kind of want to stick with what works right now? And it was. I don't have the poll pulled up or anything, but it was a lot of people were definitely saying like, I would like to see some new villains. I'd like to see somebody different, like the Joker's cool and everything. Like I said, many people, I don't think anyone said that we've had a bad version of the Joker. They were just kind of like, the Joker's fine, but give us something more, But
I would like to see maybe a constant Joker instead of just seeing like one movie of him and then done.
Right.
So maybe like a constant Joker with villains, newer villains, and then kind of bring in the whole Justice League or some kind of team, and these big group of villains. So
Like-
that's what I would like to see.
Yeah, I guess focus more on like him building his rogues gallery in a sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's partly what they were trying to do with what's it called? Suicide Squad. They were trying to build that rogues gallery, but the problem was it was just kind of like we hadn't seen any of these people take on Batman yet.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like you probably should have had a few Batman films before we got that Suicide Squad film or whatever. But it is what it is. We got it. It did what it did, and we moved on from it. But at the same time, I would say like it was actually a bit refreshing to see different iterations of villains that we hadn't seen before. We hadn't seen Harley Quinn before. We'd seen her in the animated series, seen her in comics, video games, never saw her on the big screen. I was like, okay, well, got that. Deadshot, never seen him before other than Arrow. He's an Arrow, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so like other than Arrow, we hadn't really seen him or whatever. And I was like, okay, you got Deadshot, you got Captain Boomerang, silly as that was, but at the same time, we're like, hey, at least we got him. I know that's a Flash villain, but still, like, we still got him, I'm just like, all right, well, it kind of sparked that interest for me, I was just like, I would love to see these people in their respective movies with their, with their foil and with their hero, with their opposites or whatever. But I'm like, like I said, we fall back to the Joker a lot. Like I said, we got this new movie coming out with the Joker, and I was kind of like, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, man, I would love to see a movie, even if it wasn't a Batman movie. I would love to see a movie about a particular villain, and it just be like their standalone movie. Like I said, Joker's cool, Joker's great. I'm pretty sure this movie's looks like it's gonna be really good. I hope it is, but I would like to see something more. And so I've chosen my pick, who I really, really want to see, and I've been wanting to see this for a while. But I'm gonna ask you guys, what would be your pick for a new villain? What would you like to see? Like either, and it doesn't matter, like whether you want to see Batman take on that villain or just see an origin story / or just movie dedicated to that particular villain. I'll start with you, Hakeem. What would you like to see?
I would like to see a origin story for Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another second chance character.
Yeah, no, so he was a second chance popping up a lot. So, I'm assuming you would not want him to be played by Arnold.
No. No.
Okay, well, why Mr. Freeze?
Well, which movie was it? Was it Batman Forever or
Batman and Robin was had Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, Batman and Robin. They and they had him and Poison Ivy in it, and I want to say someone else. Too many, Bane. Too many characters in it, so not enough time for storytelling. And he was a very interesting character to me. I remember when I saw the animated movie, him, Batman, and Mr. Freeze. It was called like Sub-Zero, something like that.
Right.
And I thought that was cool. So I wanted, to see a live action movie of Mr. Freeze. His origin story. What drove him. Well, you kind of know what drove him, but to see the culmination of how what drove him to do the things that he did in order for his wife and things like that. Because it's always not fun, but interesting to see what a person would do for their loved ones because they care for them and they think it's the right thing to do.
Right.
And sometimes it's really not. But they in their mind they think it is. So
yeah, or they don't feel like they have a choice.
Right.
In the matter or whatever. And yeah, and I would agree with that because you can tell this story one or two ways. You can tell it the old, you can make him the old campy Mr. Freeze or whatever, but I think what you're wanting is the one that has the more of a dramatic backstory and everything. And like I said, you can tell it either way you want to, but it would be interesting. It would be nice to see like the dramatic take on Mr. Freeze. And by that same point, this is one of the villains I usually defend. One of the Marvel villains I usually defend on screen or whatever is Sandman, because his whole backstory was, I want to save my daughter. I don't have money to save my daughter, so I'm gonna do what I can to save. It's the whole thing. Like, what was it? I forget. It was John Q or whatever. When Denzel Washington said it, he was just like, "No, my son's gonna bury me. I'm not gonna bury my son."
Right.
And I get that from a parent. I'm not a parent, but at the same time, I get it. I'm like, if I had a son or I had a daughter or whatever, I would want to do whatever is possible. And I understand there's ethical questions and stuff you got to ask. And I'm just like, well, would you rob a bank if it meant that your daughter would live on forever? And
I think about that stuff later. I'm gonna do this.
I mean, I'm just like, and it's tough for stuff like that. And I would like to see, I would agree. I would like to see like what a movie that would bring that to light. Just kind of touch on those ethical questions, like
test his morale.
Yeah, but and not only that, just test the morale of the audience, because that's what you do with action movies like that. It's kind of like, all right, and some people are just like, no, this is a strict no and everything, and then when it comes to life, I'm just like, well, unless you're in that situation, how do you know?
Yeah,
how do you know how you're going to react to that and everything? So I would like to see that. That's definitely a good pick. That's definitely a good pick. I'm going to move on to you, Mr. Mojo Jojo. Who would you like to see get either their own movie? Oh, I forgot to ask. Is that a Batman movie or is that just a standalone film?
Standalone.
Okay.
Standalone.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So what about you, Mr. Mojo?
I would like to see the Red Hood.
Okay.
I know I think it was Batman versus Superman, you kind of got the glimpse of the Robin suit.
Right. I was trying to see if I can pull that up here. But yeah, there it is right there.
Yeah, and you kind of just you got the the little start of it's like, well, we've already showed the suit, so we could go that route if we wanted to. And just seeing how dark and deep the animated movie was, like I would like to see how dark and emotional they can get with a live action.
Yes. So unfortunately, I don't know if Affleck will be back for that to do this movie or whatever. And if you're listening, we're actually what Jojo was referencing was Batman Under the Red Hood, which is definitely one of the better DC animated films or whatever. And that's ironically supposed to be loosely based in the Young Justice universe. It's supposed to be loosely based in that one, but it was really good. And like I said, the image he was referring to earlier was the Robin suit. You could, in this universe, in the DCEU, this Robin is dead, quote unquote. Killed by the Joker, obviously, or excuse me, Harley Quinn killed him, correct? If I remember correctly from Suicide Squad, it said, I don't know if it said aided in the death of Rob or of not Tim Drake, Dick Grayson, or actually legitimately killed Dick Dick Grayson, but it'll be interesting. And the thing about it would be, you'd man. Now you got me excited. I would like to see this now because they have, like I said, they've already kind of let you know, like, okay, yes, this is, this Robin's dead. The Joker had something to do with the death or whatever, and I'm just like, okay, so you kind of understand. You understand a little bit as to where Batman is coming from. Why he was so cynical, why he was so kind of grizzled. I think, is that William sending us a bunch of messages?
Could be.
But yeah, I think that is William. So, so shout out to Wild Bill if you're watching this, interrupted our videos. But yeah, like you kind of set it up. You definitely helped to build the character of Batman because you understand, like, okay, yeah, he lost what was irrevocably his son, like the person that he raised and stuff. And he took a lot of that on his chest, but he kind of like it, that and probably amongst other things, like pushed him over a line. That's why he was killing all the time and stuff. He didn't care anymore about the bad guys or whatever. He was just like, due process and all that stuff. It don't work because look what happens, when I try to, fight, so we have that. And then we have him kind of, he said at the end of it, he kind of has his arc and he realizes, like, hey, I'm no better than the people that I'm been trying to stop or been trying to put away. I'm no better than the person that killed my parents and stuff like that. But it would be interesting to see, because we saw the animated movie obviously focused on Jason Todd, who was the second Joker. Okay. It would be interesting to see how that would work with Dick Grayson as Red Hood. Is that what you were thinking, more like Dick Grayson as Red Hood? It would be interesting to see what happens there, because if they're going about this in the way of the universe, then Dick Grayson would have been with him as a kid, so like I think like 9 years old or something like that. So to see that psyche and then have him get resurrected through the Lazarus pit and everything, and see that bloodlust that eventually it works within him, and to have the same skills as Batman,
and then like that moment of like, why did you abandon me? Like, why did you let this happen? Mm-hmm. And then just see, like, that raw emotion. And it's just like, well, what's Batman going to do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, like you said, that could be another film. I mean, obviously this features the Joker. but at the same time, I'm like, that's the whole point, is because Batman refused to kill the Joker or whatever, and you can still you can actually address that element too. And I was just like, hold up, you went on this entire killing spree for a long time, and this is the one person you didn't kill, the one person, and I'm just like, he's kind of got a point. Yeah, I can't be mad at him so much. So I'm like, yeah, I mean that would be good.
It's like you kicked the dude out of the window that stole the loaf of bread. Like, he pulled a gun out. You just kicked him through a 10-story window and let him fall to his death. But Joker's over here like releasing like laughing gas, poisoning everybody, drowning like everyone.
Yeah.
Like destroyed all of Gotham. And you're like, nah, like, I think I'm gonna let this one live. Mm-hmm. Like, does not make sense.
Yeah, and you know what? at that same token, it could be because Batman had that arc of just like, oh, I can't. I've been wrong this whole, like I said, for the movie of Batman v Superman, he was the one in the wrong. He was doing all this, going out his way to kill people, especially Clark. So it was like, he realized, like, I stepped over a line. I can't step over that line anymore. Like, this is what happens to you. This is what you become, So it could be that interesting dynamic between the two, because it's like, all right, well, you've already established that, you've seen what Batman can be like if he's just 100% brutal, raw, does not care about the people that are committing the crimes or whatever. You've seen that part of him, and then he gets his humanity back or whatever. So it will be a good character movie to have between Dick Grayson, who has actually gone over that same ledge and everything, and he doesn't come back from it. So that'll be interesting. I would like to see a Red Hood. I don't know if they're going to do anything with it. Like I said, Zack set it up. He's no longer part of the DCU for reasons because, you know, Warner Brothers or whatever. But
Yeah, from what I've heard, Warner Brothers they're stepping back from the whole, you know, interconnecting, you know, stories for DC. So if they are going to be doing like other like movies like with Shazam, Wonder Woman, and Joker, they're not so worried about how are these movies are going to be connected. Just playing their own part into it.
Right, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. You know, like they've been taking their time, and I said they pushed a couple movies back. They pushed back Wonder Woman to 1984 or whatever. So as long as they're taking their time to do it, I mean, like I have no problem with it. I would have liked to have seen it next year, but at the same time, I'm like, all right, well, you know, if you feel like you need to step back and be like, all right, wait, we need to touch some stuff up here. I'm like, hey man, do your thing, you know, do your thing. As long as it's good, I don't care how long it takes to come out or whatever. Although I still feel like Wonder Woman should have came out a long time ago, but I'm saying besides the point, whatever. But you know, just. As long as you do what's right, you do right by the characters and material, but also you do right by the people involved or whatever, because you don't want that whole thing like with Zack Snyder to come out where like you let it, you know, you feel like Zack took a lot of heat that he didn't deserve to take. He took a lot of heat that he didn't deserve to take because he didn't elect to take 30 minutes out of Batman v Superman. That was a studio, you know. He didn't elect to do that, and I'm just like, all right, you know. Warner Brothers, y'all did that, you know. It was like he didn't even have nothing to do with Suicide Squad. And it was like that was y'all messing with David Ayer stuff while he was filming it. So I'm like, Zack didn't do that. Y'all did that, you know. So, you know, like they didn't fire Zack Snyder halfway through and then put Joss Whedon, who's Zack Snyder's opposite of a director, in there. I'm like, you didn't put somebody who was a polar opposite as a director. I'm like, Zack didn't do that. Y'all did that. So it's good that I guess they finally took a step back and kind of like held the mirror up to themselves and said, okay. I was like, all right, yeah, we kind of messed it up here. We sorry, we're gonna try it again. we're gonna do it right this time or whatever. So just and a lot of it's just trusting the director, because I don't think we would have gotten Aquaman, you know, if they didn't trust the director, and especially since James Wan had given them so much of. James Wan has given them a lot, you know, and a lot of people that were in Aquaman have given them so much. And I'm just like, all right, you have to trust this director at this point. So as long as they start trusting the directors and letting them do their thing, obviously you're going to have to oversee stuff and everything. But I feel like I've had this conversation many times before, but I'm just like, it's not, you know, like I said, the director didn't mess up. Y'all messed up. You know, once you realize that y'all are the ones that were messing things up, and you realize you need to step back and like, all right, we might be messing up here. Let's step back and look at what we're doing. Hold the mirror up to yourself. Realize you're screwing up, and as long as you've done it, I have no problem. I have no problem with that. So, like I said, I would like to see Red Hood. I think that's a good idea. I don't know that they'll do it or they'll go that route, but I would love to see it. Yeah, and I would definitely like to see Freeze. Freeze would be something to be really cool. But there was one that I've always wanted to see, and that has never been given justice. Not in the movies, not in the TV show, the Gotham TV show that's come out and everything like that. That he hasn't been given justice. She hasn't been given justice there. And the one I would love to see is actually a Poison Ivy movie. I would love to see a movie just strictly dedicated. Doesn't have to involve Batman or anything, but I would love to dive into the psyche of Poison Ivy, because I feel like that's a character that, you know, she is the literal definition of, you know, a woman scorned. You know, she's that complete, you know, like, you screwed her over, and she's going to get you back. And the thing is, you probably won't even know. You won't even know. It'll just be like some spores coming out from somewhere, and next thing you know, your insides become your outsides and everything, and you don't even know it's her or whatever. But I would like to see that. I would like to see like what genuinely damaged her or whatever. I mean, she's she's been given some good stories in comics before, but she's always been kind of just like, she's always been kind of like on that extremist level or whatever, and then she gets the powers, and it's like, oh, okay, I can do this stuff now. So, you know, she went from environmentalist to supervillain, basically. So I'm just kind of like, I would like to see that transition, how she goes from this environmentalist to like, you know, what breaks her, what makes her snap, or whatever. What really goes that route. I would love to see that. I would love for that to happen. Because like I said, I don't feel like she's been given justice before. I would like to, no pun intended with, but I don't think she's ever been giving her true justice. Definitely not in Batman and Robin.
No.
Look, I thought she was funny, but at the same time, I'm just like, this is awful. You know? And I would say probably the best representation was probably Batman the Animated Series. But it was so quick. It was like something happened and something happened. Because, you know, they got to fit all this stuff into like a 15 minutes worth of content or whatever. So I'm like, okay, you have to fit this whole backstory in there, whatever. I believe she probably should have gotten a 2-parter, because I think that's what Mr. Freeze eventually got. He got a 2-parter or whatever. Well, no, Mr. Freeze got his own movie. Shoot. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. Yeah, Mr. Freeze got his own movie. So it would have been nice for a character like this. Because, like I said, I feel like she goes to the wayside a lot in terms of villains. Because I don't know, like, everyone knows her, but I don't think she's as popular. I don't think, like, no one really touched this character a lot before. It's kind of like Penguin.
Yeah.
Penguin and Riddler, you know, it's like, oh, they're there, but no one really touches them a whole lot, you know. Unless it's animated, and then they'll do something with them, but I haven't seen a lot, you know. Some people on Facebook, a lot of people on Facebook said Riddler. They would love to see a Riddler one. And it was Riddler, and I think they only got one person that said Clayface, besides you just now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely something. That's my pick. That's definitely something I would want to see. And like I said, I want to see that progression. And like I said, it doesn't have to involve Batman. It could just be her own standalone movie. Damn it, I forgot who you picked already. Shit.
Red Hood.
Red Hood. Is that? Oh no, that's actually going to be a Batman movie.
Yeah.
In a sense. So okay. And then okay. So those are our picks for what villains we would like to see in you know, whether it involves Batman or not. But those are some Batman villains that we would love to see. And real quick before we end this segment, we did see Shazam. I know this is Trailer Talk Tuesday, but you know, we all saw it together, so we figured. And a couple people have asked; they want to know what our thoughts are on it or whatever. And I have a tweet that pretty much sums up what my thoughts are. But what did you think of Shazam? Just real quick.
I thought Shazam was. I enjoyed the movie personally. Mm-hmm. It definitely hit on, you know, if you give a teenage kid a fake ID and was just like, here, go do whatever you want to do in the adult world, and you can still be a kid.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's pretty much kind of what sums up. What do you think? What did you think of it?
Yeah,
you were one of the ones that I think out of all of us, you were least excited for it. So it kind of
it was because I was like, I remember when we saw the trailer for it, I was like, I don't know, like
it looked too silly.
Yeah, it looked kind of too silly, and I still had kind of got that same feel for it when I watched it, but it was okay. It wasn't like I was like, oh man, I'm ready to go. Mm-hmm. It was an interesting take on Shazam, and I did like one of the characters, the little girl, the black girl that was from the foster home. I did like her. She reminded me of my sister a little bit. So
she of the kids, besides Billy, she kind of stole the show.
Yeah,
when she was in there. I would say that. I would say and this was something that you and Trey were talking about, and you were saying like, oh, it's like the Goonies meets Power Rangers.
Yes,
that is it. The Shazam, the Goonies meets Power Rangers. It's about as enjoyable as that sounds, and makes about as much sense. So, because like, it's to you know, piggybacking off your point, it's very silly. It's very silly. There are quite a few narrative choices that don't make any sense. as you know, as hard as I am on movies, I can't overlook that. But at the same time, like I understand, like all right, the movie as a whole is decent, but I had a lot of fun watching it. It was enjoyable, and it was actually pretty self-referential because there was a few jokes that we made. Well, one that you made about like when Shazam was talking to, you know, the little Billy Batson and everything like that, and he's just like, say my name so my power can flow.
Yeah.
And even like they showed they would cut to Billy, he was either laughing or cringing at the same time. He was just like, this is weird.
Yeah.
I need adults.
Stranger danger.
So, but it was actually like it referenced it knew like, okay, like all right, the movie kind of knew what it was and everything, so it was meta in that regard, but not so meta that it was like, you know, it wasn't Thor Ragnarok. You know, I know you like Thor Ragnarok, I'm sorry. But like it wasn't so like, you know, over the top. It didn't feel like a Saturday Night Live sketch, put it that way. It was more just like, hey, we're goofing around, we're having fun or whatever. And that's really what the trailer kind of promoted. It was just like, hey, we're just kind of having some fun here, and it had a lot of heart. I'll say that much. And that's one thing, like, even though I think Ant-Man and the Wasp is a bad movie, I will always say, like, it had a lot of heart. You know, it had heart to it, and I appreciate that. You know, I always appreciate that, you know. So I enjoyed it. And, you know, for those that were asking, we all pretty much enjoyed the film. It was fun. It was fun. It was a fun little action romp or whatever. Like I said, it had some good heart. Narrative writing wasn't as solid as it really should have been, but like I said, so that takes some hits off of it or whatever. Does it deserve the score it got on Rotten Tomatoes? Probably not. I would probably say the Metacritic score is probably more fair. I think it was like 70 something or whatever. I'm like, yeah, that's fair, you know, for writing quality and stuff like that. Because like I said, there's a few plot holes and there's a few inconsistencies, some stuff that doesn't make sense in it and everything. But overall, like, you know, it's nothing movie breaking. It was just something like, all right, you probably should have paid a little bit more attention here, whatever, you know, or you probably should have just had someone else reread that real quick and was like, yeah, that doesn't make sense. You should probably change that or whatever. But like I said, there's nothing in there that breaks the movie. At least I don't think so. I have to rewatch it again. But from what I watched, I had questions, but at the same time, I was like, well, this doesn't break it. It's just like you probably should have just touched it up a little bit. Because hey, look, script writing is hard. That's why you have like 5-6 writers, you have like 10-11 editors, and you have like, you know, script doctors, and you have people like and stuff is still getting rewritten when the movie's being filmed. So like I get it. Script writing is tough. It's hard, but same time, you gotta have a standard. So like I said, overall, enjoyed it. It was fun. So like I said, for those acting, those are our thoughts on it. And we're going to take a quick break. Be back for our last segment. We're going to quickly touch on some good old-fashioned Star Wars, and then we will be out for the day because we got some stuff we got to take care of tonight. Got some traveling to do, so we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. We're back for the last segment of the show. So we're going to try to make this a little bit quick because we have places to be after this one. So we have to make sure that. But we're going to still try to bring you some good wholesome content. We're not going to rush through everything. We're not going to talk all Micro Machines guide facts or anything like that. So even though I tend to do that sometimes, and I apologize, but still. But yeah, we got some Star Wars to talk about, and Star Wars, Lucasfilms, and Disney are apparently on damage control because there has been quite a few announcements. We had Star Wars Celebration weekend not too long ago. I think it was like a couple days ago, whatever. And they've released some news out. They talked about some shows they're going to put out and everything like that. But there's been the main three things that have come out is the trailer for Episode 9. And Hakeem has not seen that, so we'll take a look at that real quick. We'll get some thoughts on it, and then they are actually going to be taking a break after this. They said this is the last movie they're going to be putting out for quite some time, and they were going to research. They were bringing back some other stuff that. They're bringing back a series that a lot of us were fond of, and they've actually released going to be releasing a new game, I think, later this year. So, yeah, we've got a lot to talk about, and we don't have a lot of time to do it in. So let's go ahead and we're going to look at the trailer for episode 9, and then we will be back with our thoughts. So that was the trailer for Star: The Rise of the Skywalker Wars. It was funny because I did that for Star Week earlier this year too, and I was wondering, I was like, is anyone going to do? Because I always do this. I always make fun of the way they put the title together and everything. I always read it in order that they put it in. I was like, is anyone going to do it? And of course he does. So what was it? Star 2019 week, whatever.
Yeah.
Like so I'm gonna go with I'm gonna defer to Hakeem here because Hakeem's not really that big of a Star Wars fan. Like, what would you? How do you feel about the Star Wars franchise as a whole?
I really
Just not your thing?
Yeah, just not really my thing. It's just I guess I missed that train when, the whole Star Wars was a big thing back then. I really couldn't get into the whole story behind it, and a lot of the political stuff that's happening in it, like it's not really my taste.
Right. I gotcha.
The only thing relevant in Star Wars that I liked are, the lightsabers. That's the only thing that I really like.
The lightsaber battles. And
yeah,
stuff.
that's it. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, I could definitely see that. I mean, that's
and the whole Force, all of the metaphysical things in it. Because
Right.
I'm a physics guy, and I like those kind of aspects.
Okay. Yeah, I mean they're fun in that regard, however. So, what did you think of this trailer? Does it do anything for you? Does it make you want to see the movie anymore?
I have a lot of questions because Luke, I think Luke Skywalker. He's not in. You don't see him in this trailer. And I guess it kind of makes you feel like he died somewhere along the lines, but wasn't he still alive in The Last Jedi or something?
You saw The Last Jedi,
yeah.
Right? He became a Force ghost. Put it that way. That's the best way I could probably say. He's dead, but he's his essence is still living on in the Force or whatever. So he can project himself. That's why Yoda can still show up. You can still see him and stuff. Same thing with Obi-Wan and et cetera, et cetera.
And Anakin, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, because I was thinking, because I don't remember. I guess it's because I just didn't remember, like if he died or he went into he was one with the Force now. But
it's basically the same thing. with the Jedi or whatever. So I mean,
my question was, why did she, when in this scene right here, when she turned away at the I don't know what you call that, fighter.
Yeah, it's like a new TIE fighter.
Yeah. She turned away from it, ran away from it, and then do a backflip to try to destroy it. I would have just ran head on to it.
What's funny to me is I think, like, I look at this scene or whatever, and I'm just like, see, what they don't show you is that she actually like bounced that guy. she turned around, did that flip, and everything was just like boom, flying through the air, whatever. And I was like, it's like that Dora trailer that I was cracking up at because like she runs and it's like she jumps off the cliff or whatever. She's like jumping from one cliff to the other. It's just like I got this. No, I don't. And somehow she's still alive after that. I'm just like, all right, whatever. But I don't know. I will. We'll go in order of possible. Like Star Wars, they always put out their best. Promo material. Their promo material is steadily being badass. I mean, I can never ever deny Star Wars of that. Like their trailers always look good despite the quality of the movies. Like I can look at some of I look at the Disney era, look at the prequel era, and I'm like looking at I'm like, these trailers are badass, dude. Like these are movies I want to see, and I'm just like, where are they? It's like I wish I could see the movie that this trailer was promoting or whatever. But their posters are always cool. There was a mural that somebody painted in, I think, in Chicago, whatever, at the actual celebration. I got some hair somewhere I'm trying to get rid of. But there was a mural that I posted it on Facebook or whatever. Follow us on Facebook, you see that kind of stuff or whatever. But yeah, I saw it and I was like, damn. Because it was all the Star Wars movies and all the people from the Star Wars movies. I was like, damn, this looks so cool. Because it was like all the way from beginning to end. They put it in chronological order. And I was like, that's cool. That's badass. And I was like, that looks really good. So I can never, ever knock Star Wars for putting out bad trailers or anything like that. Because it's like I still look at the trailer for The Last Jedi and I'm like, damn. Wish I could see that movie. So I'm just like, even, so like, I never fault them for that. I can't say I'm as interested though, because it's like, I know I've been burned at least too many times. Been burned too many times. I'm just kind of like, all right, yeah, y'all, I don't know. I don't know if I would legitimately go to see it and say like, oh, I want to see this movie now, and I'm just like, I want to give it another chance. Now, that's despite a lot of people on the internet. A lot of you guys, like you said, you voted on Facebook and you voted on Twitter, and you guys were all like, mostly were saying like, I still have hope for episode 9 or whatever, but it wasn't, even the one on Facebook wasn't very far, I mean, it wasn't very far off, and people were just kind of like, a lot of people were like, nah, maybe I'll catch it when it comes to Netflix or something, for the most part, but I would say like, I would say the majority of you guys, you seem to be like, all right, well, I'm willing to give it another chance, so I'll defer to our biggest fan here today, which is Mojo Jojo. What do you think, man? Are you there? Are you with it?
I'm not gonna say I'm with it, but I'm not gonna say I'm against it. Force Awakens was I enjoyed Force Awakens. Mm-hmm. Now when The Last Jedi came out, like I tried so many times, so many times. Like we went to go see it the day it came out, and I fell asleep halfway through. Mm-hmm. I believe that. Tried to go see it again in theaters, well rested and everything, because I was like, you know what, I just got off work. Maybe I was just tired.
That's true.
Went to go try to see it in theaters again. Fell asleep again, and I was just like, well, that just tells me that this is not the direction they need to go in. And even tried at home on Netflix. Same thing happened. So I couldn't even tell you how The Last Jedi ended. That's how far I got.
Hey, I've seen it multiple times. I still can't tell you how it ended. I can tell you how it should have ended.
Yeah. But for this one, I feel like, they look back at The Last Jedi. And like you said, going off of what you said, yeah, they put out some really good trailers. Mm-hmm. And when you get there, you're like, why'd you lie to me? you stole my money, and I'm upset.
Go back to the box office. Like, I think I paid for the wrong movie.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just like, what's the 1-800 number to their corporate? Right. I need to complain. I need to speak to the manager. But for this one, I'm hoping. And this is me at the edge of the cliff,
Mm-hmm.
hoping that they look back at The Last Jedi and was just like, okay, this is what we did wrong. Let's go back and we do everything right with this one. Because, at first they were like, are we going to talk about Rey's family? Are we going to just leave it a mystery? Like, what are we going to do?
Mm-hmm.
And when they hit Last Jedi, everybody was just like, we don't want this shit.
Yeah.
We want what y'all left a mystery in Force Awakens. Like, you gave us a decent movie and gave us complete trash for the next. And I feel like, that's how they need to redeem themselves. They need to redeem themselves with this movie.
No pressure.
No pressure at all.
Look, there's no like, it is what it is. There's no like way you can really get around it. There's a lot riding on this movie, and I would like, I'm not gonna say I would like to believe, but I feel like most people are where you are right now, where you're just kind of like, I got hope. But if y'all screw me again,
But in all honest opinion, though, yes, the 3 original movies, great. Well, I'm not gonna say like great, but like they were. If you had to pick between the trilogies, they would be number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course the prequels number 2, and these, hate to say it, last place.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I feel like they have killed this storyline. Like it's. Like, there's no way that, if it's like, okay, well, we were wrong with these, let's try to fix it. There's no way to fix it.
Right. It's only, we're only going to get the end of what this is right now. So, yeah, and...
Like, the only way for Star Wars to redeem themselves is, like you said, they're bringing out season 7 of Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
They realized, we did cut it too short. It was something great we had going.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the Mandalorian, I guess movie or show, TV show coming out. And if anybody has ever read the Mandalorian, anything about the Mandalorians, they're a really badass, race.
Oh yeah.
That's just like they're like alien Spartans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I really hope they do this show justice and showing what the Mandalorians were all about. Like, they were all about, the brotherhood. Like, we're a force that you don't want to mess with.
Mm-hmm.
And I just hope they do not downplay it. And then, of course, you have talks of a Knights of the Old Republic show coming out. And I just read
today. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So
that you'll get to see what happens way, way, way in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah.
And like I said, the door's open for them to redeem themselves, and it's just if it's up to them to take it.
Right, and you hit the nail on the head there. I am on record as saying that the biggest problem with what Disney is doing with Star Wars is like, okay, we're taking this and like we want to, because regardless of the quality of the prequels, you can tell like it's in, like I said, narratively and just overall feels like, all right, yeah, okay, we have a little bit of a polished look here, CGI is not good and stuff like that, but we want to be part of this series. We want to be part of what you love and everything. It's like, yeah, we didn't do it right, but fine. We still want to be part of that. With Disney, y'all didn't want to be part of that. Y'all wanted to be it. And I'm just like, that's your problem. That's your, you have this selfish air about you that's just kind of just like, no, we it's about us right now. And I'm just like, no, that's not how you should be taking it. That's not the direction you should go. Now, granted, I don't hate any of these movies. I don't even hate The Last Jedi. I'm just kind of like, I know it's a terrible film, but I'm like, I don't even hate it. But at the same time, I look at it, I just can't help but just like, I can't help but have a serious dislike for what they have done with the franchise. However, piggybacking off what you were just talking about, Mandalorian, with them taking a break, they're going to say, they're like, Episode 9 is going to be the last movie they come out with for a while. A lot of people, like I said, a lot of people were burned by The Last Jedi. A lot of people agreed with you in saying, like, you know, hey, Force Awakens, I like Force Awakens, you know? I know I'm in kind of the minority. I thought I was in the minority for a while until it was funny. People didn't go back and start questioning The Force Awakens until The Last Jedi came out. When they went back and they watched, I was like, well, let me watch The Force Awakens. I'm like, well, damn, The Force Awakens wasn't even that good. I'm like, I've been trying to say it. But at the same time, like, people can still watch that and still, like, get some enjoyment out of it. I don't, like I said, I don't hate The Force Awakens. It's definitely better than The Last Jedi.
Yes.
But, you know, I guess I saw it early on, what they were doing, and I'm just like, I don't like this direction y'all are going. When they came out with Rogue One, I was like, okay, all right, I like this.
Yeah, because Rogue One was a bridge, like
Yes.
it gapped, you know, from one, you know, series to the next.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I feel like they recognize that, and they're on damage control right now. They realize, like, okay, we messed up. We screwed up here. We have literally screwed up the future, like the storyline, you know, future-wise and stuff like that. So I'm just like, Episode 9 can only do so much. We know that and everything. This is why we're just going to, like, look, we're not going to make any movies for a while. And they're actually focusing more on stuff that goes on, you know, in between certain eras of Star Wars and stuff like that. And The Mandalorian is actually featured in Rebels quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so I was more interested in that. That's something that's, like I said, you got a gap that you can bridge. You got 32 years of content that you can make and stuff like that. But what I do appreciate is, like you said, with season 7 of Clone Wars, because once Disney got a hold of Star Wars and Lucasfilm, they were just like, nope, Clone Wars is done. So they immediately killed that. And then a lot of people were unhappy with that. I was kind of like, I wasn't happy about it, but at the same time, like, when I saw it, I was like, well, I can accept this as the last season. You know, it wasn't like it ended off at a cliffhanger or anything. I was like, I can kind of accept.
I mean,
this
of course,
as
it, you know, still left you with questions, but
yes.
but it also, like, you know, with the whole Yoda, like, going off and, you know, going to the, you know, the Sith temple and all that good stuff. You know, of course, you know, it was a good finale at the time,
right?
but it still left you those couple of questions of, like,
Right.
you know, what was Yoda's intent? Like, what, you know, what was the purpose of this?
Exactly.
And hopefully season 7 will, hope and pray that season 7 will answer some of those questions.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I mean, the same people are doing it, you know, so.
And another thing, not trying to cut you
Yeah,
off, but another thing too is, like, kind of bridge the gap between what Ahsoka has been doing since she left, you know, to the point of, what was it, Rebels?
Yes. Yeah.
You know, because, you know, when she pops back up again, she's almost like an adult.
Yeah.
And the last time we saw Ahsoka in Clone Wars, she was still like a kid,
like a
maybe
teenager.
teenager. Yeah.
Yeah. So and that's like I said, it's another thing you can do. Like, you got, I don't know how many episodes it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be like 13 episodes or if it's going to be a full, like, you know, their usual 22 or whatever. But you've got a lot that you can do there. You've got a lot that you can account for and still give people, you know, the stuff that they want. And like I said, that's part of where I feel like they're on some serious damage control here, because when they took over, they killed it. You know, they were just like, oh, we're not doing that no more. You know, they took all the I remember this. I can't remember if you texted me or, like, we were just talking about it one day, but you were pissed because they said, like, oh yeah, all this these EU books and everything. Nah, it was no canon. Not canon no more.
Yeah, because there's so much they can do with it, and Disney's just full of themselves of, like,
A little bit. Sorry.
won't even pay attention. That Disney's just so full of themselves. It's just like they're destroying everything that they can make money off of, that people and the fans of Star Wars would enjoy.
Yes.
Like, granted, you know, there's nothing like opening up a book and making the movie in your head yourself.
Right.
But actually having a company that has the money and can take this and take what you've read and put it on the big screen, and it's just like, whoa. And Disney's like, nah.
Yeah.
No. I'm gonna do what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And you've left so many fans displeased. Like I've known fans that are like, I remember when I saw the very first Star Wars in theaters, and I'm a diehard fan. And then after Last Jedi, it's just like, yeah, ruined my childhood.
Yeah.
Like seeing like a grown 56-year-old man's just like, yeah, my childhood's dead.
Yeah. 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 I've known quite a few people. William was the same way. He's kind of like, man, I love these movies, and then he's like, yeah, I don't like the prequels all that much, but I can still. He's like, I can still like, hey, look, they are what they are, or whatever. But
yeah, it's like with the prequels, at least they still kind of fit together.
Yes. Yeah.
Like 6, 7, and 8 so far, it's like, okay, we kind of see the bridge. But it's not a bridge that I can trust.
Yeah.
With to cross.
It's pretty rickety. Yeah. It's pretty rickety.
You sure there isn't another way around?
You're gonna wind up like Dora, like. But yeah, I at least at this stage, regardless of what quality episode 9 is, at least at this stage I respect what they're doing. Like I said, I respect the fact that they're taking a break, they're stepping back. I respect the fact that it feels like they're listening to their fan base, and it's not so much like it also listening to your fan base, but like I was saying with Warner Brothers, they finally picked up that mirror and held up, and it was like, well, shit, yeah, I've been messing up, so. And I would hope, and I'm hoping that that's the case here, but that's kind of what it seems like, especially like I said with the, at least in episode, keep saying episode 7, season 7 of Clone Wars or whatever, bringing that back, bringing in the Mandalorian, bringing in some stuff that from the EU, because we got characters that were actually from the extended universe that they're talking about bringing into a lot of the series and everything. And I don't have a picture of it anymore, but yeah, it's like bringing in some people from the extended universe, because they who was the guy in Clone Wars, not Clone Wars, Rebels, that they brought. He was the blue guy. I can't remember what his name is now.
Yeah, because he was like the general or the captain or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was originally in the EU. I remember that, but
yeah, because him and Darth Vader were kind of like rivals.
Yeah, and I remember seeing that. It was just like, oh man, okay. He was trying to bring some stuff into that people are going to resonate with, fans are going to resonate with, and stuff like that. Like I haven't read any, like the only thing I've read is Catalyst, but But I respected that, and I liked that fact that they were bringing stuff in from the EU, just kind of like, all right, look, we're trying a little bit, But unfortunately, and I don't know if you're familiar with that, when they ended Rebels, they did it because they weren't sure how long Disney was going to allow them to run it, so they ended it. And you can kind of feel it a little bit. It's kind of like, well, the way they kind of summarize it, they were just kind of like, well, this happened, and then we went and we fought we fought Death Star, and then we won, and then we were good. And I'm just like, that was a fast. So I'm like, it's all like 30 seconds, and then they just summarize everything. They basically summarized the first 3 movies of Star Wars. And I'm just like, well, that was fast. That was rushed. They're just kind of like, yeah, all this stuff happened, and now we're looking for what's his name again. I'm like, oh okay. We're not going to address anything that went on during this time. No, okay, we're fine. Series was still good. It's just like I felt that ending was a bit rushed, and now I know why, because like they were scared that Disney was going to cancel it or whatever. So they end that show, and then they give us Resistance. Don't watch. I don't know if I explained to you. I know I talked to him about Resistance. I was like, don't ever watch this show. That shit pissed me off so damn much. But it, if anything, Resistance was the one that really showed us that, like, all right, y'all don't care. Y'all don't care about this content right now. So, but now, like I said, going back on it, seeing what they're doing now, like I said, and doing some of this stuff, especially the video games, because people have been hollering about the video games forever, man.
Yes.
Like they were since like which one, Battlefront 1 or Battlefront 2? Because I never played the video games, but I'm just saying, like, I know people have been hollering about them.
Because I have played many a Star Wars games, and because I remember back when they produced a Clone Wars game.
Oh, they did?
That you fought in vehicles.
Okay.
And then it's just like, all right, I can even throw it back to when they first produced a Phantom Menace video game where you actually played as the Jedi and played the story of the Phantom Menace.
Okay.
And then they kind of went on a weird route of you fought in vehicles. Then they gave you, Battlefront and Battlefront 2, which was, you fought as the soldiers, you fought all the major wars in Star Wars, space battles, everything. That was great.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll even say that Episode 3 video game wasn't the best video game, but it was still nice to get, like a Soul caliber feel where you actually got to fight each other as, the Jedis and the Sith. And then
that's all you right there.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, time goes on. We don't get a good Star Wars game for a while, and then they produce the rebooted version of Battlefront. And what they didn't tell you from the beginning, you have to have online to play. And there's no campaign. So people are like, we don't even want this game.
Yeah.
What are you doing? And then Star Wars is like, okay. We'll give you a Battlefront 2. Has a campaign. Still have to have online to play. But we'll give you a campaign. And the campaign was, it was decent. Not the best in the world. But you still had to have online to play, and it was all that whole loot box system, and
microtransactions.
And people are just like, no, we want a single player Star Wars game like Force Unleashed, where we go around and we do our own thing. And hopefully with this new game, that'll give us what we've been asking for the past 10 years.
Yes, the Fallen Jedi, I believe that's the Fallen Order, right? Oh, Star Wars.
I think it's
Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
You guys know me at this point. Like I'm all about a good story-driven video game or whatever, and I had already kind of planned on. I was gonna play through Force Unleashed. I was like, because I wanted to play that. I was like, okay, this is a good story-driven one or whatever. And then, the fact that what made me want to play it was knowing that it was within the universe. It's kind of like the Matrix game. What's the name of that one? The Matrix, not Reloaded. It's right there actually. Matrix, Enter the Matrix. Yeah. So I wanted to. So that it was. Feeling like I was part of the story, even though I was playing as one of their characters or whatever, it was still like, oh, feel like I'm part of the story or whatever. So when they scrapped all the canon and stuff, I was kind of like, well, maybe I'll get to it at some point, So, and then I just never did. And now, like this one, I heard this was coming out, Jedi Fallen Order. I was like, okay, and then legit story-based video game, what people have been clamoring for quite some time now and everything. And like I said, seems like they're finally trying to. Seems like they're finally trying to listen to their fan base and stuff like that. So I'm appreciative of that. So like I said, I know they're on damage control now and everything. So at least I think they're trying to keep the fans that they still have. They have a diehard fan base. Our friend JJ, and if Scott Storro's on it, screw it. He goes there with the intent, and I respect that about him, to the nth degree or whatever. But he goes to each of these movies and stuff like that with the intent of liking them. no matter what he might get or whatever. But he's just like, hey man, I'm gonna like this movie and I respect that, man. I respect that. I used to be that way until I got burned too many times. X-Men screwed that for me, so I'm just kind of like, I'm going in expecting nothing. So, which, I think that helps me be a little bit more open to what the movie has to offer, in a sense, or whatever. So, and I don't go in as, I don't go in with my hopes so high, so when it's not, I don't get what I want, I'm not as crushed by it, or whatever. So, as I say, X-Men hurt me one time. That was the last time I said I'm going in. And it's like, whatever you got to offer, and if it's good, if it's bad, I'm not going to be as soul crushed anymore. So that's kind of like with episode 9. With episode 9 now, I'm just like, I'm not in the least excited about it. I'm not even really truly excited about the video game. It looks good, from the trailers and everything like that. It looks like it's going to be good. This is obviously, PS4, obviously PS4 and Xbox, right?
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so, because I know there's talks of PS5 on the way.
Yes.
And the Xbox 2, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's funny how they went backwards in numbers.
Right.
You got Xbox and the Xbox 360. They're just like, oh, Xbox One. I'm like, wait.
Maybe they switched it to radian measurements now instead of degrees.
That's where all the math is out there. So like, I'm thinking this is coming out this year though. If not,
I think it's at the end of the year.
Okay. Right around the time, probably episode 9's coming out. Yeah.
And I think the little bit of the backstory of the game is it's right after Order 66. You have a Padawan that escapes the pretty much the killing of all the Jedi.
Okay.
And basically he's going through the galaxy now trying to basically survive. Okay. Just like if, every other Jedi that escaped Order 66, if anybody, out there knows that story.
Right. Yeah, that's still a heartbreaking part of the story for me. Especially, I think it was kind of rough to watch in episode 3 just in general, but knowing, when I watch Clone Wars, knowing what actually happened, and I'm just like, oh god. It's like nobody had control over what really happened with them or whatever. Not the Jedi, not even the clones who killed all the Jedi and everything. I'm just like, dang, y'all weren't even in control of yourselves. Y'all are just as much a victim as the Jedi are. And
because it was literally like, the clones, like, and it makes you realize, like, the clones, like, they made them out to be like computers. Mm-hmm. Like, all you had to do is just put one little disc in, and it completely changes everything.
Yep, and that's why it was so messed up, and it was hard because they had written the clones to be, at least most of like their main clone characters, stuff like that, written them to be so endearing and human, because they wanted to be human. It's like they didn't want to be expendable soldiers or whatever. They were just like, look, we live and we bleed like everyone else here. We want to be that, and then to do that to them. And I was just like, I was like, man, Palpatine, and I know he's coming back in episode 9, so I'm just like, didn't you die? I think that's one of the main things that turned me off of the trailer was now knowing that that's Palpatine laughing in the end. I'm just like, didn't you die already, man? I'm just like, all right. It seems like they're trying a little bit too hard now, because I'm like, all right, you're gonna throw Palpatine in there. You got old Colt 45. What the hell's his name? Lando. You got Lando in there. I wanted to call him Billy D. Williams, but it was just like, I was like, no, not Billy D, but Lando. I was like, oh, you got Lando back in here. And I'm like, yeah, but why? I was like, showing him, because it's like, it's the way I think about it is with Force Awakens. The Force Awakens kind of did that. It's like, oh, it showed you Han, and it showed you Leia and stuff like that, giving you those nostalgia feels or whatever. And it's like, I look at this and I see that stuff in episode 9, I'm like, you get one. Everybody gets one. It's like, you did that to me last time. I'm like, you're gonna do that to me again. So But it almost is like you might be trying a little bit too hard with episode 9 to try to like, but to try to say like, look, we messed up, but look, we got this now. Like, yeah, that doesn't make things better though. You'd have to come up with, and it would be a completely BS thing, but you'd have to erase what you did in episode 7 and 8 in order to make 9 any kind for 9 to make up for it. So I was like, oh, maybe episode 7. This was all just a horrible dream. This never happened. Just like
The Rise of Skywalker. Luke Skywalker wakes up from a horrible dream.
There's a meme out there somewhere, which it was pretty funny. It was just like, it was like episode 7 was Force Awakens. Episode 8 was The Last Jedi, and someone else put made an episode 9 one that was just like from his nap. So it was like The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi from his nap, and I was like, and now that you said that, I was just like, that would be kind of funny. It kind of better, it's just like Luke's waking up. What happened? So yeah. Commends to you. Good job, Disney, if you are actually doing what I think or what you think you're doing and everything. So, like I said, there's nothing wrong with holding a mirror up to yourself. A mirror up to yourself. You get Miller later on, after you do something good. But holding a mirror up to yourself, realize hey, I did something wrong. Let me try to fix it. So I'm hopeful. I hope the movie's good. I legitimately hope the movie is at least good. Like I said, can't make up for what the inconsistencies from 7, 8, and Resistance. You can't make up for that, but at least you can make this movie at least good, and I'm hoping for the game. I hope the game's good. If the game's good, are you going to get it?
I am going to get it.
Okay.
I'm actually going to try to see when it's time to pre-order it.
Okay.
And to see what kind of pre-order stuff comes with it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I hope you have a better pre-order experience than I did with Kingdom Hearts 3, because I like Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm like, it got here the same day as the game came out in GameStop, and I'm just like, I paid like an extra $20 or something for shipping, and I'm like, man, I could have just went to the store and got it, at this point. So I'm like, whatever. But I mean, I'm enjoying the game. I'm just saying, like, I wasted money because of that. So I hope your pre-order experience is better than mine, or whatever. So like I said, hope this game's good. Who knows? Maybe you get Hakeem on board.
Oh.
He's like, I don't go.
I will say, a long time ago, I did play one of the Star Wars games. I didn't own it. It was like at a cousin's house, and they had it. And I think it was the one that JoJo was referring to. Like, you was in like vehicles, and it was almost kind of like you defending like your territory or something like that, like captured your flag almost or something.
Okay.
But it was fun because all we did was just blow up each other, and as a kid, explosions is fun. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So here's hoping. Like that's the whole theme of Star Wars anyway, is hope. So here's hoping. So we still have hope. I'm still kind of on the fence, and Hakeem's like, man, I don't care if you continue or not. So
y'all got another one out?
Good luck. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Probably should get ready to wrap the show up here pretty shortly, unless you got something else to talk about.
No, I think that's it.
Yeah. All right. So we gotta go ahead and get on out of here. I don't know why that image is showing up back there. Let me get rid of that. Boom. Nope, that's the wrong one. There we go. Nope, that's it. There we go. Now it's gone. Okay, we're good now. All right. So, so you can see all this stuff. I might leave that in just because. But yeah, that's gonna be it, guys. That's gonna be our show. Talked about a lot of future stuff. Talked about the future of Marvel, future of DC, future of Star Wars, because and we're always hoping to look forward to the future, and we're going to just hope that everyone does a good job. We hope that Marvel can can continue on their uphill climb. They had kind of a downfall with Captain Marvel, but you know, everyone's gonna have that. You know, it does it. Every franchise is gonna have that. You're gonna have that flop every now and again, where it's kind of like, all right, yeah, we screwed up. Let's, you know, gather it back up. You know, you veered off the road. No, shoot, we get back up, get back on the road and everything. So hopefully they can continue to get better. I hope that DC continues along their path, and hopefully they can form their own identity. And I hope that just Star Wars just cleans up their mess. So there's hoping for all the universes there. So. And we also hope that Godzilla is awesome. So, when does Godzilla come out?
I think it's in May.
Okay. All right. That's got to go up against, well, it doesn't have to go up against anybody, really. The Infinity War is next week. That's in April. So, who's coming out in May? I know somebody's got to be coming out in May. Actually, I got a spreadsheet here. We'll figure it out later. We'll see who's coming out in May and stuff like that. But up until then, I'd like to thank you guys for tuning into the Realcast Podcast. Trailer Talk Tuesday on McBlam Entertainment. Bring a little bit of enjoyment to your day every day. And as I said, as always, you can find us on the social media, so you can get involved in all these Facebook posts and polls and stuff like that, figure out what's going on. You can always send us email if you have questions, compliments, comments, or concerns to info@McBlamEnt@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram @McBlam Entertainment, on Twitter @McBlamEnt. Follow me personally on Twitter @Mr. McBlam, or on Instagram @Mikey McBlam. Hakeem, where can they find you?
Find me on Twitter @Crykeem92, Cry with the K, Keem with the K and 2 E's, and Instagram @SUGGSH1.
And Mr. Mojo Jojo.
Find me on Instagram @MojoJojo1234. That is MojoJojo1234.
That's right. Or you can find us right here on McBlam Entertainment. Like I said, bring a little bit of joy to your day every day. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the podcast. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Peace.